Hi, I'm Dr. Keith Latson, an equine surgeon and one of the co-founders of Four Sixes Equine Supplements. Today I'm going to walk through how to check your horse's legs just so that you're familiar with what's normal, so that you can understand what's abnormal as you do these leg checks every day. So the first thing I typically do is put my hands just above the knees or the carpi and run my hands down the front. You can feel for any puffiness, any lumps, bumps, and particularly any mild heat. For those athletic horses that are turning barrels or stopping and twisting really quickly, oftentimes that hyperextension of those knees or their carpi creates a lot of pressure and sometimes some damage up here at the front of the knees. That's really important for us to be familiar with how much heat is there and whether there's a difference in focal heat over one knee versus the other knee. So I run my hands down the front of the knees, the front of the shins. In those young horses, you know, they can get some of that periostitis on the front of the cannon bones, and sometimes that can be really painful for them. Other times, as they're going through their growth phases, you get a little bit of puffiness or a little bit of heat in these ankles, and then other times, again, you'll get a difference in heat in the feet, and that's a really clear indication for us that we need to start watching out for laminitis or stone bruises or other things that may be coming up in their feet. So after I've done that, I'll run my hands down the back of the tendons, the back of the leg, to feel the tendons, feel those suspensory branches, and then run my fingers just down the back of the pastern into the heel bulbs, feeling for just, once again, any lumps, bumps, heat, anything that's abnormal or irregular that I didn't feel yesterday. Then I'll pick up the leg, flex up that knee and see if we get any response to that hyperflexion. I'll do the same thing with the ankle. Just flex it with my hand on the front of the knee like this. See if there's any withdrawal response. See if they're telling you that there's some pain, some inflammation that's making it hurt when you do this. The next thing I'll do is run my fingers down each of these tendons, the flexor tendons, individually, feeling for any thickening, any indication that you might have some inflammation in those tendons or tendonitis. And then do the same thing down these suspensory branches as they come into the sesamoid bones. Any heat, inflammation, increase in size in those branches, or pain when you push on those branches just above the sesamoid bones is a pretty good indication that there's inflammation there and you may want to have it checked out by your veterinarian. Next, I'll move down below the sesamoids into what are called the distal sesamoidian ligaments. These are kind of the anchor ligaments for the sesamoid bones, and the sesamoid bones are where opposing forced soft tissues attach, and they're kind of like the key in a suspension bridge. So it's really important to check where those tendons and ligaments come into the sesamoid bones and where they start at the bottoms of the sesamoid bones. So press all the way down into the heel bulbs. Press those heel bulbs together. Now when you do this, you want to be careful to keep your knee out of the way, because if they bring their foot back, you don't want your knee behind it. So just get your knee out of the way, press, and then stress those collateral ligaments of the coffin joint and the pastern by twisting that foot. That's how I check the leg. The last thing I do is I'll check for pulses going down to the foot. This is really important in young horses, old horses, particularly horses that are on rich pasture, that may be at risk of laminitis, maybe some metabolic syndrome horses. Really important to check for pulses going down to their feet. It may also indicate they've got an abscess that's coming up, a stone bruise or something, and you might be able to catch that early. So that's how I check the front legs on horses.